Police Court, Counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, this gun right here, this instrument right here, doesn't have a conscience. It's not built with a conscience. It's not instilled with a conscience like the rest of humanity should be. The bullets that were put into this gun, this instrument, don't have a conscience, aren't manufactured with reason and common sense like normal human beings are. He's an instrument? An instrument of this crime? That's all you are? Is an instrument? No. No, sir.
Your Honor, I'm objecting
who pulled the trigger.
Remarks to the defendant and ask that he be instructed to discontinue such. It's impermissible.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Judge.
Can I get a ruling, please?
Please don't talk directly to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, jury, they don't want to be faced with the facts. If it is audacity to stand before you today and to argue the facts and the law, then put your seatbelts on, because you're going to be filled with it right now. Because I'm not going to blush over his involvement in this case like they want you to do. Like they want you to believe that Kendra Hatcher was dead before they even met Kristopher Love. Well, she tried to get other people to join in, didn't she? Did they? No. No. In fact, this wasn't even happening until he said yes. And how fast did he make that decision? In an instant. In an instant, he made that decision. An instant. Ladies and gentlemen, I will talk to you about these special issues, because that is what you are faced with. And they want to say, and he said, how many times did he tell you, the nature of the crime doesn't matter? And you're not even supposed to be considering that. And they want to blow up the nature of the crime. Well, I have the charge of the court. When you're to consider special issue number 1, it says, you shall consider all the evidence admitted during the guilt or innocent stage of the punishment and the punishment stage, including evidence of the defendant's background or character, or the circumstances of the offense that militates or mitigates against the imposition of the death penalty. The law is telling you to take into consideration the facts of the offense when making this decision. The facts of the offense and the fact that you've already convicted of capital murder doesn't mean that you disregard it going forward. In special issue number 1 and even in special number 2, it says, do you find, taking into consideration all the evidence, including the circumstances of the offense? It's there, black and white. The judge gave you this law. You can read it back there. You are to consider the facts of this offense in making this decision. Absolutely. They want to talk to you about the prison system, and they want to talk to you about the studies about over 30. Fine. You know what that goes back to? That goes back to human beings. He told you that. He said at 30, something happens and your testosterone lowers and causes you to be less impulsive. Okay? Yeah, I would say probably on average that's true. I think if you go and ask, do most men at the age of 30 commit capital murder? No. Very, very small, few individuals commit capital murder over the age of 30. Who does that? Who's one of those small, few individuals who will commit capital murder over the age of 30? Right there. You're looking at it. The day that they come in here and tell you he is a model prisoner over there, the absolute day that they need to send that message to you, he's instructed to be here. We've told you that in Fort Dyer. The only thing that they are supposed to do is to sit in this courtroom. They don't have to do another thing. But he chose it upon himself to exercise himself from the courtroom when he wanted to, when things weren't going his way. They brought you jailers? Sure. What did they bring you? And they know who he's been, where he's been, and how long he's been there. You heard about the 6 o'clock to 2:30 shift for a year and a half where he is in a single cell. Do you remember that? That's what all those guys knew about him. It was from 6 to 2:30 in a single cell over there in Loose Stair, from first being locked up until he went to Gen Pop. Right? Well, what does that sound like to you? That sounds like the same place the 220 other souls who are in the Texas prison system who are serving on death row. That sounds like their system. Right? Isn't that what he told you? 23-hour lockdown? 22-hour lockdown? Right? The worst of the worst are contained in that manner. That's why there is very little violence on his watch. Well, what did he tell you? Even in those scenarios, even with that much lockdown, men over the age of 30 are still committing violence in the prison system. You know what's not in it in any of those studies? Do you know what they have not taken into any consideration in any of the assessments made at all about this, the prison system and how safe it is? It's factoring this man into it because he's not there yet. Because he's not there yet. They don't want you to look at his past history. They don't want you to look at who he is. Ladies and gentlemen, how else are we going to be able to predict future behavior unless we look at the past? How? Is it possible? Let's look at it. You want to talk about future danger? You want to talk about individuals who are told what the rules of society are. We all know them. He was told them by his parents in this chaotic lifestyle that he grew up in. No, he was told. You heard his mom. You know his mom instilled in him the right and wrong. You know his dad instilled in him the difference between right and wrong. Right? They're hardworking people. They know the difference. Everybody else in the family turned out good. Everybody else. But this man, how is that? I think maybe he's just a little different. I think maybe he's just a little bit different than the average 30-year-old that's out there. Maybe. What does he start off with? Theft of a vehicle at age 17. Evading arrest. Has a gun. Why do you need a gun at 17? What happens to him? He gets out into juvenile detention and he gets out in October of 2001. Right after that, burglary, stealing from someone. Going in, taking what he wants from someone else. What happens with that? He gets placed on probation. Okay? He gets a judicial diversion. What happens while he's on probation for stealing from someone? He goes and facilitates an aggravated robbery. And in that course of that, he's also, if you go back and read what he did, I know he went through it really fast. You can see what the indictments say. Took a wallet from one guy, shot at another lady. Gunplay. Again, this man. Then he's still on this same probation for burglary. And before resolving his other facilitation of the aggravated robbery and the aggravated assaults, picks up at another aggravated robbery. And what happens in that? A guy comes over, knocks on the window. Let's go make some money. Right? Yeah, sure. I got a stolen car already. I'll drive you. Snaps decisions, just like that. That's who he is. That's what he's capable of. Does the rest of society matter to him? No. It's about him. It's about him. So, he gets the burglary charges finally terminated, his probation after this. He gets sent to the penitentiary for 3 years for the facilitation of 2 ag assaults, and he gets an 8-year sentence for the aggravated robbery. And when he gets out, what does he do? He picks up another unlawful possession of a firearm. Remember the gun that was hidden in the exact same spot that he hid this gun? Remember that? That's what he does when he gets out. And what did he tell Detective Barnes when Detective Barnes asked him, when was the last time you touched a gun? Oh, it was in Memphis before I came here. Oh, really? Yeah, what happened? I sold that gun. Is that the gun that you have the charge on? No, this was after that one. So, there's that one. Plus, there's another unlawful possession of a firearm that he admits to. What's with all these guns? His mom says it's well to protect us. From what? For what? Look where he has them hidden. He has them underneath carpet that you have to pull back, or underneath consoles that you have to pull back. Is that for self-defense? If someone is coming after you, how much are you going to have to do to get down in there to get those guns? No. He's storing those guns in case he needs those guns for whatever activities he is about to take part in. Right? That's why he was so confident talking to Detective Barnes. Man, you ain't going to find that gun. There's no gun in there. He's confident in that. He just didn't know about the dog. He just didn't know about the dog. But that's him. That is his mindset. Okay? You ain't going to catch me till you catch me. Right? Now, you heard his brothers, or his brother come in, Scooby, said, yeah, I counseled him after all these. You heard from his dad, yeah, I talked to him after each one of these. I tried to tell him exactly what was going on. Well, if after the theft of vehicle charge, where he had a gun, and he's been counseled, if after that time you thought, you know what, I bet you Christopher Love's never going to hurt anybody again, you would have been wrong. If after he gets out of detention and he commits a burglary and his family counsels him again and talks to him, if you thought at that point in time, Christopher Love's never going to hurt anybody again, you would have been wrong. If after the aggravated robbery and the 2 aggravated assaults, you thought, nah, this is it. This is a big felony offense here. They're going to counsel him, they're going to talk to him. He's not going to hurt anybody else. We would have been wrong. After he commits the next aggravated robbery, if you thought at that point in time, Christopher Love is finally getting the message across to him, he is never going to hurt anybody again, you would have been wrong. Are you going to be wrong today? No. You're not. Because you are going to do what the law requires you to do. You know what he is capable of. And you know what, in all probability, if the opportunity arises, what he will do. Because he thinks about himself. He thinks only about himself. So he comes to Dallas. First thing he starts to do in Dallas is he starts setting up his drug business. Right? He starts setting up a drug business. These are text messages from Dre. This is his re-up man. Okay? You heard about Detective Barnes talking about that in his statement, the re-up man, the guy who supplies him with drugs. Here's Dre's telling him how much he should be able to make. 3 to 4 a day. Right? So what do they hatch up to do? On September 3rd, one day after putting a bullet through Kendra's head, he's making the drug deal. Where? At a Walmart. At a Walmart. We take our kids to go shopping. Where people go to get their necessities of life, hardworking people. He's pulling up next to the Walmart, making a drug deal. What else does he do? Here, you got corn. He's asking for drugs here because he needs a sack. This is the guy buying from him. Let me give you 20 for $5. No, I'm going to give you a half. He's negotiating, right? September 3rd, same deal. It's the day after. The day after the murder. As this family is grieving, as this family is waiting 2 hours to tell their mom about the loss of her daughter, he's making drug deals. He starts setting up this prostitution ring. Right? You know that. You need money. This is from Nia. You need money to make money. We're not going to get any good hoes with what we have right now. I need to get a car, build a clientele base. I need to have extra cash to throw the money at these hoes. And I need a little apartment. What's his response? Lady, you don't know what I got, and that's easy. This is Kristopher Love. He's living outside of the societal norms. Okay? He's living outside the societal norms. These same norms that come up with studies about 30-year-olds and what they do and don't do. Right? He's living outside of that. That's who he is. That's his nature. Here again, I just want to get you on my team. Another lady, Jeanette. This is who he is. He's different. He's different than everybody else. Okay? They talk about how the death penalty is, capital murder is just capital murder. And the appropriate punishment for capital murder is a life sentence. Okay? And yes, that's what most people get. They get a life sentence. But 220 other people are sitting down there on death row because what they did is different. What their crime and what their backgrounds are different. And that's where we find ourselves here today. This individual is different than all the other capital murders that come through. This crime is different than all the other capital murders that come through. As a young prosecutor, when we're out there picking, remember we talked about how the jury selection is different, that we put a big group of people out here, kind of like these people out here right now. And we talk to them individually. There's a point in time where we start talking about what a party is, okay? If you're dealing with 3 people that are committing the same crime and how they can all be charged the same. The scenario that I was taught back in 1998 in doing this is you have a driver, you have a planner, and you have a gunman. And I have been using that same hypothetical for all these years to explain that provision of the law. This is the first time I've ever got to actually try a case with that scenario because of him. And usually we use hypotheticals that are so far-fetched so that we don't have to get on the hypotheticals that we actually are dealing with, the actual case that we're dealing with. But that's him. He's the gunman in that case. This is how he portrays himself out there. He wants you to think he is this awesome dad and taking care of his kids. What is he wearing here in this marijuana shirt? Okay, I understand marijuana is what marijuana is. You want to use it, that's fine. Okay, but what does he tell him that he wants to go and do? Is go pick up his kids from daycare. I just want to pick up my kids from daycare. Like this? Do you want to be dropping your kids off at daycare or Chris Love's kids when he's coming in like this? This is how he's holding himself out? This guy with his tattoos, look at that, life or death, surrounded by monies. That's money signs. That's who he is. Okay? This is the picture from arrest. This is the picture from more recent. Look how he's bulked up. He knows where he's going. Look at that. He knows exactly where he's going. He's preparing. He's preparing for where he's going. He's got his revolver tattooed on his side, showing the world what he's about. I'm about this. This is who I am in my court. One-man army. How does he enhance it? When we first showed Detective Barnes these, I said, these dots around here, what are these dots? I don't know. Now I showed him, well, now what do you think they are? They're bullet holes. This is the violent behavior he is trying to portray himself. And he knows where he's going. That's why he is enhancing these at this time. Because he wants to send a message to everybody that sees him. Anywhere he's going to find himself, the society he finds himself in, he wants to send that message. That's who Kristopher Love is. This is Kristopher Love. He's taking these pictures. That's him. No one else is taking that. What he's using this for, I don't know. Is he making a joke with a buddy? I don't know. But he kept it on his phone. Why? I don't know. He kept it on his phone. Mitigation. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe that you should consider everything that you heard. I do. I think you should take into consideration the information that was presented to you. And like he said, he went to Memphis, I went to Memphis. Okay? We all do a lot of work on these cases. And we all bring in what we can to prove what we can. Now, like we said, they don't have to do anything, right? We have the burden of proof on that future danger. We're the ones that have to prove that to you. No one has the burden of proof on mitigation, okay? It is either in existence or it is not. All right? But once the defense starts putting on a case, you can judge that case. Okay? You can. So, who testified for the defendant and what did you hear? Okay? I do, in my core, believe that family loves Kristopher Love. I think so. I think that was very evident. And I think they were there for him. In all those times, in that whole timeline, they were there for him. The thing is, he wasn't there for them. Right? They keep talking about what this awesome father is. Go back and look at these timestamps on some of these dealings and these text messages. He's doing this all in the middle of the night. Okay? He's not there for his kids. How can you be there for your kids when you're out running around in these criminal episodes? But that's really the only three things that I heard about that might have he might have added to society are just his three children. What else? What else? I mean, who didn't testify for the defendant? What didn't you hear? Did you hear from a boss? It's like, yeah, Chris Love guy. Why he really comes in here and he really does a good job. Did you hear from a pastor or a community leader who says, yeah, he's out there all the time volunteering. He's the guy that we always rely on. Boy, I see he made some choices in his life, but you know what? There's some good parts to him too. Did you hear anything like that? No, you heard his closest family members. Okay, his sisters, his brother. You didn't hear from his brother, the police officer. He didn't come in here, did he? The same police agency that he had to move away from because they just kept harassing him. Remember, that's what Mom said? That's why he came to Dallas. No, he came to Dallas because he had a warrant out for him for that gun charge. He was escaping that. Okay? Did he really have no chance in life because his family had breakups and get back together to breakups? Did he really have no chance in life because the school he went to, they focused on black males and said, we're going to try to keep you down, even though it's a predominantly black community? Are these really the reasons why Kristopher Love turned out the way he did? No. Because that's a slight. It is a slight to the rest of the world who endures those types of challenges and overcomes. Right? That's a slight to them. To come in and say that's our mitigation. Yeah. Is it mitigating that he didn't have the Warden June Cleaver that raised him in such a way? I don't know. But is it sufficiently mitigated? That's the real question. Does it overcome? Does it overcome what he did? And what he is in all probability going to do? No. Not at all. Maybe there could have been something if he had lived his life a little differently. But that's not what he was about, ladies and gentlemen. That's not what he was about. He's just different. He's just like those 220 other people that are down there. They're just different. Worst of the worst, we throw that around a lot. I think you can see that his criminal history and his makeup and who he is makes him one of the worst criminals. I mean, it really does. And you told us that in your questionnaire, and you told us sitting up there even after being educated. And we asked you, each and every one of you, what would be important to you in deciding the fate of someone? And most of you said, well, if it was premeditated. And most of you said, well, if it was if the guy wasn't his first time. Well, that's it. If you go back to my chart, he escalated each one of those offenses. He went from Class D to a Class C to a Class B felony. And now he's here at the pinnacle. He is the worst of the worst individuals. They want to try to say that this case would be handled differently in some other county, differently than other capital murder cases. Yes. We treat this capital murder different than any other capital murder that we have. We treat all of our cases individually. That's the way you have to do this. And we explain that to you all in Fort Iron. That not every capital murder has the same set of facts. There's thousands of ways you can commit a capital murder. And there's thousands of different defendants. And they're all treated differently. Some get 35 years, some get life sentences, and some get the death penalty, depending on what they've done. To say that this is a case driven by the media is ridiculous. The media and we at the DA's office are chasing the same thing. We're chasing the story that lands us here today. And we make those same decisions. It's not that we see the cameras go there and we follow. And it's not only that the cameras see us and they follow. We both know the same thing. That this is a different type of case. With a different type of victim and a different type of defendant. Capital murders happen all over the city. But the cameras don't go. Why? Why don't they go? Because they know that this is different. Rarely do you get a truly innocent individual to get murdered. Rarely. There are times when we have innocent victims. But it's rare. It's very rare. But you found it here. Worst of the worst. The planning that went into this, that's his phone on August 26th at her apartment. You know, his phone, we only had it going back so far. We didn't get it all the way back. But we have it back to August 26th, so we know he was there. Or his phone was there. Right? The day before, 2 days before, August 31st, he's there. Premeditated. And we talked to some of y'all because some people said, well, you put down, well, if the act was done intentionally. We had to really parse that out because all capital murders are done intentionally, right? You have to act intentionally in a capital murder. But not all of them are premeditated. That's a different animal altogether. Intentionally means I pull a trigger, I want something to happen, I make it happen. Remember we talked about that. Premeditated is I planned it. It's not something I just happened across. It's something I was working on and working on and working on. And that's Kristopher Love, working on it. The day the two of them, right there at Kendra's apartment. That's in the middle of the day, stalking, waiting for the right time. Waiting for when it would be best. It wasn't that time. She made it then. It wasn't the day before because she made it then. It wasn't the day before that because she lived through those times. No, there was a perfect moment in time for them. A perfect moment in time. They knew exactly when she was leaving work because they were there watching her. They lost her in traffic. And then they headed to where they knew she was going. They got there early. Why? Why did they get there early? Because she had to stop at Rosie's. You didn't know that. They had to stop at Rosie's and get a camera. So they laid and waited. In that apartment parking lot. In that safe environment. You heard about her sister and about how this doesn't happen where we come from. This is not the type of evil that we are accustomed to. And Kendra carried herself in a way that made sure that she was safe. She lived in a community where you had to get through a gate to get in. But was she safe? No. Because when evil men decide evil things, it is very hard to keep them at bay when they have set their minds to it. And so we wind up with this. And they're sitting in that car. Well, he's out at this point in time because he knows she's already come in. That's the second car. And there he goes. Down there. Not a care in the world. Not this heavy decision that you all have right now. No. He knows exactly what he's there for. He gets to her here. He's with her right now. She's screaming. She's screaming like the animal that they heard of in the parking lot. No, no, don't do it, no. That's what's happening right there. Taillights are coming on. He's coming back. He's done his deed. He's put this gun to her head. to the back of her head, the back of her head. She's not even facing the individual who did this to her. She is cowering. Cowering down. As Mr. Lord explained to you, the way that shell casing had to get in there, she would have to be down like this, screaming, saying, "No, no, don't do it!" He could have walked away. He could have made a choice. A choice. He could have not made the mistake that we keep calling it. It is not a mistake. It is a choice of execution. A mistake? Please. Spilling milk is a mistake. Putting a gun to this beautiful, innocent woman who is starting her life, making her cower, is not a mistake. It is a choice. It is a choice of execution carried out by an instrument? No. He knew exactly what he was doing. He was not forced. He was not under duress. He chose to sit and wait and plan and do it. You're going to tell me that someone who calmly sits in that car for 30 minutes and who calmly puts bullets after having wiped down and puts gloves on is not someone who in all probability will continue to commit criminal acts of violence? You think he's part of the study of people who have just flip a switch and they're done? Absolutely not. How can you possibly think that? I agree. Bring in 50 more. He is, each one of those times that he has been in the prison system or in the jail system, he has had a purpose. Parole. Get out. Get back with mom from juvenile. Right? Here, today. He is waiting for this day. For someone like him to get up and talk to you about how great he has been. They know it's coming. They know they have to make this argument to 12 individuals who are going to have to listen to the facts in this case. And they are trying to put the best foot forward. He is trying to put his best foot forward to save his life because he knows what he did is deserving of the death penalty. But ladies and gentlemen, you are not going to be clouded by that. And I assure you tonight, when you put your head down after making these decisions, you will have no problems. Is it a heavy decision? Yes. But is it a just decision? Absolutely. This tells you everything you need to know. This is 11 days afterwards. The only time I even felt guilty about something is stealing 100 bills out of my mom's wallet when I was 11, and I still ain't told her. And that tells you what this instrument is thinking about right now. Right? No remorse. None whatsoever, because he's telling it to you right there. Not a bit of guilt. Not a bit of guilt. How do you handle someone who has no guilt for doing something like this? Can you put them down there in a place that's being guarded with one guard for 140 inmates out in that yard? Crime happens all the time in the prison system, ladies and gentlemen. You saw the news this morning, you heard about it. And what are they waiting for? What are the guys down there who pull the strings waiting for? Another guy, just like him. Come down there and fit right in. Do their bidding. That's the truth. This guy, his actions are the truth. I put this up here not to remind me. I know her name. It's to remind everybody else about Dr. Kendra Hatcher and what her name is and the legacy that she has left behind in her short years. I won't forget her name. I don't think you will ever forget her name. Who is Kendra Hatcher? student, we heard about her life. We heard about her accomplishments. If you look at every one of her graduating pictures, she has something draped around her neck because of that excellence. Because of that excellence that she saw in herself and was demanded of her by her parents. She set goals. She achieved goals. Graduated with honors. Kendra the Servant. Remember we heard about this? She spent her spring breaks. Where did you spend your spring break? I know I wasn't in Florida helping build houses. I know. I mean, in college, she wants to go down and help the less fortunate down in Ecuador. What type of a person does that? Kendra the Servant, she has a servant's heart. That's her love language. That's how she tells other people they mean something to her. The lives that have been touched by this, the devastation that has been brought on by this individual, this is why this case is being. This is it. I mean, this is who you don't get these type of victims. You can't have this comparison between this case and all the other cases that happened out there because they're so singular. Her love for children. You heard about that over and over again. Never to have her own, right? Never to have her own. Her brothers and sisters, I mean, what a great family. Truly great family. I mean, every time I talk to them, they get more and more middle America than now she's got a quilt shop. I mean, my goodness. You can't frame a more perfect environment, a more perfect existence. I'll use the defense lawyer's words, an angel. It's taken from us. Kendra the Daughter. I mean, the things that this family and this mom has had to go through, sitting there. The relationship she must have with Dave is something incredible. That her kids knew, we got to wait till he's there to make sure that when mom hears this news that she has as much support, because this will destroy her and destroy her life as she knows it. And you saw that gut-wrenching experience up there on the stand where she had to come in and talk about her daughter. You know, there's no words out there for when a parent loses a child. They don't have a word for it. I read an article about an English professor after losing her child. She commented about this. And she had said that, you have the word orphan for when parents are taken from kids, right? They become orphans. Or when a spouse loses a loved one, they become a widow. But she couldn't find a word. She couldn't find a word in really any language that really described exactly what it was or was being used, at least, for when a parent loses a child. She went back to the word widow. And widow means empty. And that comes from Sanskrit. And so she went and looked at that language and she came up with this, Vilma. And what that means in that language is against the natural order. That's the only way she could describe a parent having to bury their child, is that it is against the natural order of things. And isn't that so true? The Chinese have a proverb that the gray hair should not be burying the black hair. Because it shouldn't happen. It didn't have to happen. Did it? Did this have to happen? No. Senseless. Brutal. Without reason, without cause. That's why he is different. That's why he is being treated differently. It's because we cannot protect society unless he is on death row in a cage for 23, 22 hours a day. being guarded, walked everywhere with a guard, just like he did in the Dallas County Jail. They say we want revenge. No. We want justice. That is our oath, to seek justice. Not revenge. Not revenge at all. You know, there's been a lot of, the word justice has been thrown around in this trial. It's been thrown around for centuries. Scholars, philosophers have debated what the definition is of justice. All the way back to an ancient Greek society, it has been a topic. Well, to me, justice is that mysterious phenomenon that corrects the wrongs of mankind. It is mercy for some, but it is swift and uncompromising punishment for others. It sets the price of human life, and it collects what is owed. Justice brings joy to the righteous and terror to the evildoer. Today, ladies and gentlemen, that type of terror needs to rain down on him. He needs to feel the fear that she felt that day. She knew her life was over in minutes. She knew as she struggled for breath that she was going to die. He needs to feel that as well. That is the only just response for his actions, for his history, and for what he is capable of doing. And what, in all probability, he will do. You've heard nothing sufficiently mitigating in this case. You've heard all the evidence that would lead you to believe that in all probability he will continue to be a threat to society. And you're going to be asked to answer some questions based on that at the end here. The answer to special issue number 1 is yes. And each one of you will put your name on this. And the answer to special issue number 2 is no. Because you haven't heard anything like that.
Your Honor, I would object this on the jury's clarification is they don't put their names on a jury where it has to be unanimous before. If the answer is unanimous, they don't sign it.
It will be unanimous because you all know it. And if you all were honest with us, if you all told us the truth in those hour and a half that we spent with you, and if you all answered that scenario that we gave to you, that if in the right set of circumstances, if in the right case we presented it to you, could you do it? If you all were honest with us, I know what these answers are going to be. It's what justice calls for. It's not revenge. Revenge doesn't make this family whole. Revenge doesn't do anything to anyone or for anyone. Justice does. And that's what this is about. I've seen hundreds of pictures of Kendra Hatcher. Hundreds of pictures. My inbox was flooded with them when we asked her. She's so photogenic. Beautiful. And she kept herself very well. And everything was particular on her. Everything that I ever saw. Probably her dress, her makeup, her hair. I mean, those are two right there, you can see it. Then I saw this picture. This is the picture that speaks to me. And I hope it speaks to you. It's not her made up. It's not her in a fancy outfit. Her hair is not done. It's her. She's down there doing what Kendra does. She's down there with this little kid trying to get this doll. I'm sure this kid doesn't know what's going on. But Kendra's learned Spanish, dedicated to it, so that she can make this connection. Look at her. She's below the eye level of that little kid. Making that connection. telling her, you know, this is who I am, and this is what I'm here for. This one speaks to me. It embodies what this family has brought to us today. This is the Kendra hatchet that was stolen from all of us, not just from them. Who knows what she was being called to do? Who knows? She was starting her career. Was she going to have this great life with Ricky? Maybe. She thought so. Didn't she? She told her sister, man, I'm bringing the guy home. I'm bringing the guy home that's different than all the others. They had started a wedding fund so they could start collecting that money for themselves to have a wedding. Maybe she could have a child someday of her own and bring more love to this beautiful family. Maybe someday she could have gotten down and her child was dealing with something on a knee like that and deal with it. But not anymore. Not anymore. Never to happen. The promise that was woven in secret in her mother's womb will never be fulfilled. Never be fulfilled. Because of the actions of that man sitting before you. Evil. Did you know? Did you know when we had you fill out the questionnaire that you were in the presence of evil? Did you know sitting up here in the presence of evil now? Did you know it now? He's different. He's just different. He's not like the studies. He's not that guy. He's his own individual. And the thing that haunts this family, and to be honest with you, seasoned prosecutor, I haven't seen a lot, the thing that haunts me is that her very last image is that. This woman who has made her life to be so special in so many different ways was taken out by an individual who had never talked to her, never seen her, and for the promise of money was willing to execute her. Do you honestly believe he's not a future danger? Do you honestly believe there's something sufficiently mitigating in his life? If you do, then you lied to us when you came to come and took that oath and when you talked to us. Ladies and gentlemen, you have some work to do. I encourage you to work hard together, but don't lose sight of the facts of this case. Don't lose sight of what you've heard over the last 2 weeks. Use it. Use it all. Plug it in. Use their arguments, use ours. Weigh them against each other. I guarantee you my arguments win. If you were honest with us, if you told us that this is something that you are capable of doing, today's the day you have to do it. Godspeed in your decisions. We'll await your word. Thank you.